That is a great way of putting it. Inheriting the role. Yeah, yeah. It was nerve-wracking at first. I mean, first I didn't realize I'd inherited the role the way you put it. I knew that because I didn't know the role was that big, and that there was like you guys didn't know there was that many people out there that loved this game and this character. Because it was Umbrella Chronicles that I first came aboard, and it was also kind of a rocky beginning because the Umbrella Chronicles, the producers wanted me to be a little more like Peter Jessup, who just previously performed it, who's a wonderful actor and has a very specific thing. So sort of worked as best I could for that voice in Umbrella Chronicles. I don't think I did that great, but people seem to be happy with it. And then they brought me back for Resident Evil 5, and that's when I realized how big that this character was and this game, and the honor that it was that I was actually inheriting the role from Richard Waugh, who I'd known about, but I thought I was going to be doing Peter Jessup when I went into those sessions. And the very first one that they play, so here's Richard Waugh that we want you to do. We're like, oh. So it was a quick learning curve on trying to incorporate his voice style and merge it a little with Peter Jessup's, and also throw in my own thing when I could. And then, of course, the character is evolving through this game. So, and then there's a whole new territory of his voice. And now that I've done so many of these conventions since then, meeting fans, and they always ask me to do the voice I think is actually mutated again, just because I'm always saying it to fans. But it's an honor, and I can't believe that it keeps getting bigger and bigger. The longer he's dead, the more popular he becomes, which is fascinating. I guess there's. I'm not an educated man, but I would assume that there's some just archetypal things happening with him, and so many like just classic story things as the villain, as the anti-hero. And he started as such a regular person in some respects, and with each game just kind of evolved into essentially a god. So I mean, when you follow a journey from like 1996 or whenever it was to his death, he's going to get ingrained in that fan base beautifully. When you feel that you're at a loss in your life for something, and you're playing the game, and you find this character who's so badass and looks very good, he's got great abs, and you start to identify with the Dream Wish, to embody some of his qualities, and I think that's how he kind of got under the skin of so many fans, and that's why he endures so much. And also, he just says all the things that you want to say. When you really want to just, forgive my language, bitch slap somebody, it's like he does it with his words, he does it with his sneer, of the look, and that kind of badassery is not going to die easily. I like how you say read through the script as though I had this lounging time before the record session. I wish I had that. You know, you don't get to see the stuff until you get in there, and even then, sometimes you don't even know what order it is in and what the context is, and they kind of have to help you along as you're recording it. So it's really, and most voiceover for video games is like that, but it's like you have to fly by the seat of your pants. So a lot of times you don't realize the line is bizarre until you've moved on a couple pages, and then you go, wait, was I just saying what I think I just said back there? So I'm taking over the world, is that right? Okay. Just making sure so it's all humanity I'm going to change. Okay. But I mean, the weirdest one was when Liam O'Brien directed Resident Evil 5, and so we went through most of the script, and at one of the sessions at the end of it, he's like, okay, because I'm just going to throw you a couple of lines. He goes, you will give me an egg. And I went, that's funny. He's like, no, DC, say the line. I went, really? All right. And we had to be like 15 variations of it. I require an egg. You will give me an egg. And I'm like, what is this egg? It's actually kind of funny is I refer to that line in one of the little fan videos I did where I crossed two Mass Effect character. I did Legion with Albert Wesker, which you guys should check out. It's a Legion-Wesker alliance. And there's a reference to the egg thing in that. So you'll have to check it out. That's exactly. At the end of the session, I was talking to Ruben Langdon, and at the end of it, I'm like, hey, thanks for the great character and bringing me on right when he dies. And of course, why, can I say that? I guess I can say it. He goes, well, hey, it's Capcom, you never know. But actually, it's funny, because I've done 5 titles as that character. So there were several others that came on after Resident Evil 5, so that was kind of neat to know that I got to keep coming back to him, and of course doing a really hyped up version of him for Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and who knows what else ancillary may happen in the future. Fingers crossed. Capcom's asking me this. Why, yes. Is there a chance? Well, there's always a chance. I mean, it's creativity. You can write in anything. He could be. Well, I'm not even going to talk about how he could possibly come back. But there's ways. Like you can go on your own website there and read through all the threads. There's people that have so many different ways that he could come back. So pick one of them and start writing, and then call me. Oh no, it's cool. It's neat. Well, it's I don't know if you guys know this. I did a film called Apocalypse Kiss. It was an indie production company in Philadelphia. The producers were fans of Albert Wesker and Resident Evil, and so they essentially offered me the role of the serial killer in the film. And I went, well, that's cool. I mean, the character is a serial killer, so he's not necessarily Wesker-like. But then the more I started thinking about it, I had 6 months to get ready for it. And so I actually had to bulk up and get in shape for the role, and because he has a nude scene. Sorry, I've had coffee and jet lag. Anyway, so when we got close to production, I emailed him and said, you know what, since you guys are big fans of Albert Wesker, and you've given me this role, why don't we just do like some allusions to him, such as why don't I maybe dye my hair blonde? And he writes back in all caps, he says, you do that? And I'm like, yeah. So if you can find it online, I think through Midnight Releasing is the company. It's called Apocalypse Kiss. And so that character is a little bit of an homage to Albert Wesker. So I had the dyed hair blonde, I dyed my eyebrows, got a tan. I sort of got the abs, but not quite like you guys gave him an RE5. So that was my version of cosplay. So literally, we were in between shoots, between scenes and downtime while they were doing some tech stuff. And so one of the producers, Carmela Hazlett, comes over to me, and she's a huge, fan. And so she says, "Can we just do one little cosplay thing?" And so I put on the trench coat. We found some glasses, and we had somebody do it on my iPhone. And so I've actually cosplayed Wesker doing the voice, and that's on YouTube as well. So. So when I meet these other cosplayers, no, I think it's neat. I think, and some of the stuff that you guys do, that you put, the effort that you put into your outfits are pretty amazing. And I mean, some of them are look like kind of cartoonish characters of him, versions of him, caricatures. But then there's others that are like wow. Like some people have like the jawline and all of that. I'm so jealous of that. I want the jawline. It's like, I think the most interesting is somebody once sent me, through a friend, they gave me a thumb drive that had, I think, 30,000 pages of fan fiction about Albert Wesker, along with, it was like several gigabytes of stuff. It was like a 2 gigabyte drive or whatever. I feel bad. I feel like I need to get this drive back to her. And if she's watching, I do have it. I haven't gone through all 30,000 pages yet. But it was like, wow, that is commitment to the character and to the franchise. Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing. The one thing I find funny is every now and then there'll be somebody, because yes, I've done Albert Wesker and I've done some other video games, and I do I do TV stuff and as an actor, an on-camera actor, but I'm not recognized usually until I go to these conventions. Then all of a sudden I'm a star. I'm a rock star for 2 days, and then I go back to my regular life as one of many actors reading for Cop Number 5 or something. But so when I have somebody in the line who's trembling, and then I go and I give them a hug, and it was Belfast. It was a girl. She was like literally on the verge of tears, trembling. I give her a hug, and then I thought, well, I'll just whisper something in her ear, and I think I said, "It's lovely to meet you," and she literally just fell to the floor trembling, and not a faint. It was a half a faint, but she fell to the floor, and her boyfriend's there, and I'm like, "Is she okay?" So that was it was like, wow. It's like he has an effect on people, but I talk so much, I'm sorry. But I will say something. I've gotten letters from people that talk about, and I know this is probably common among many different actors and characters in franchises, but it's very touching, is that people talk about how they went through an illness or a really rough time in their life, or they just didn't have friends at school or whatever, and then they play these games, and then they identify with something. This is what I was talking about earlier, about they identify with the character because it helps empower them. And so these beautiful letters about how my portrayal of that character helped them through a rough period. And it's like, I'm just lucky that I got the job. And the fact that it spoke to them and did something good in their lives that's like the dream of an actor, to know that I actually had some part in affecting them. I am honored that you guys still dig Wesker and my performance of it. And if you want to stay in touch, DC_Douglas on Twitter, or you can look me up on Facebook, or go to dcdouglas.com. And thank you guys very much.